And I have a message for you. All of ya. You wanna come to Europe, huh? Stupid! I get so many questions. Chef, I wanna work with you here in Europe. Chef, arrange a job for me in Europe. Guys, life is a bitch in Europe. Life is not what you think it is in Europe. And your brothers and sisters that are here now will not tell you that because they're already ashamed. Okay? They're already ashamed. So they come home to you, they say, oh, life is fantastic. It's not. I lived 14 years in Tanzania. 14 years. Life is better. There's so much opportunity in Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya. All my brothers and sisters there, trust me, if you work hard, you graft hard, your life is much better. You want to know what's happening here in Europe when you come here? I'll give you my breakdown, okay? My flat, my tiny flat, 1,400 euros a month. My energy bill, 250 euros a month. My gas bill, 100 euros a month. My car license, my car insurance, 45 euros. My mobile phone, 50 euros. My TV, 40 euros. My local government tax, 160 euros a month. My list goes on. At the end of the month, I spent 3,000 euros only bills. And I'm not even fucking living yet. Then I have to buy my groceries, all my shit. So I come down to 4,000 euros. And you people, you think you come here, oh, I earn 4,000 euros. No, you're not, you dumb fuck. You pay taxes and bills, and you cannot escape it. You cannot escape those bills. The system is created that way. So if you earn your 400 euros in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Congo, you're way better off. And you have fucking freedom and a beautiful country. I want to quit in Europe. The only good thing here is my kids' education. That's it. But when that little fucker turns 18, I'm flying away back to Tanzania with the grace of God. So please stop asking me for jobs and shit from Africa. Life is not what you think it is. Suck on that. Now get the fuck back to work.
Alright folks, they say life is a bee in America and Europe, that your paycheck actually melts into your bills, your rent and your taxes, and you're left gasping for air, and that our brothers and sisters who are over there and suffering won't tell us the truth because they're ashamed. But let me ask you this, is that what they meant when they said come to Europe for opportunities, or come to America, the land of the free, the land of the brave? Is that what they were really saying? Or who did that message actually belong to? Did it actually belong to everybody else but people of color, especially those coming from Africa and the Caribbean? Well, let's dig into this video and why this actually clip is going viral online of this Caucasian man warning people from Africa, the Caribbean and Jamaica from coming to Europe or any other Western country, because apparently all that glitters is not gold. Let's get into it. I'm your presenter Profess. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing, hit that like button. Let's take a look. I'll be back with more commentary after this.
Why is nobody talking about this? Ever since I came to Africa, many Africans have come to me and said they will pay me thousands of dollars for me to help them to go to Europe. I haven't helped a single person, and I'm not going to do that. Ask yourself, why, if Europe is so fantastic, why am I then in Africa? Does that make sense? If my own place is so fantastic, why would I be here? Now, you are ready to pay me thousands of dollars for you to go and work hard in Europe, for you to help Europe get back on track. Why won't you stay in Africa and make Africa get on track? It doesn't make sense. You're an African, so why don't you want to help your own continent to grow and prosper, but you want to go to my continent and make that prosper? It doesn't make sense. If you have thousands of dollars that you want to give me for me to help you to go there, spend those thousands of dollars to set up a business here in Africa. And if you need help with that one, I'm willing to help you. But I will never help you to go to Europe and suffer.
You look at the West and you think we are living the dream. But let me show you the truth with numbers. In Europe, the richest 10% own about 60% of everything. In the United States, the top 1% alone hold almost a third of all wealth. And the bottom half, together, they own just 2%. Now look at Africa. The richest 1%, just 1 in 100, own about half of everything. In South Africa, the top 10% control more than 80% of the country's wealth. Do you see the pattern so far? It's not you against us. It's all of us beneath the same pyramid. Yes, there are differences. Here in the West, poverty is hidden behind clean streets and credit cards. People live in houses that belong to the banks, drive cars that belong to finance companies, and buy food on debt. I know it looks like comfort. It isn't, and it's actually control. In Africa, inequality is even more visible. The mansions of the few stand out against the struggles of the many. But the design is the same. A tiny elite holding everything while the majority carry the weight. We are actually more alike than you think. You are told that we are rich, but most of us are drowning in debt, stress, poison food and illusions, and we are told you are poor, but your lands are rich, your spirit is strong, and still the same sharks feed on you. So let's be clear. The problem is not that Africans lack or that Westerners have. The problem is that everywhere, the wealth of nations is captured by the few, while the many are told stories to keep them divided. So, you think we are your enemy? We were told you are ours. But the truth is actually simpler than that. We are all being lied to. And as long as we believe the lie, the pyramid stands. To those in Africa, in the Middle East, in Asia, and in South America, please, hear this. We were told stories. We were raised in shadows. We were born into the same machinery that took from you. We were told that you were dangerous, that you were backward, and that you needed saving. And while bombs fell on your cities, screams in our homes told us it was justice. We didn't know. Not because the truth was absent, but because the truth was buried. Layer upon layer of propaganda, schooling, news feeds, speeches, until even compassion was trained to look the other way. We were not the architects. We were not the generals. We were not the corporations that carved your land and drained your rivers. But we, the ordinary people of the West, were made to believe it was for freedom, for safety, and for progress. But we see now, and we say this, it was never our will. It was never the will of the majority. We were lied to, manipulated, and enlisted in an empire without our consent. The same empire that looted your lands, looted our minds. And together, we are breaking the spell.
Alright, first thing first, I felt really anger and protectiveness because in the first place, who gave you permission to actually talk to anybody like that in that kind of tone where you actually say in quotes, you damn F, you pay taxes? Really? Because you still there. You paying them taxes too. And who told you that people in Africa or the Caribbean do not actually pay taxes? Everybody pay taxes everywhere. It's actually just a matter of how much you're paying in taxes. Yeah, I agree that you might actually be paying higher taxes in Europe or in the West, in America, in Canada, in Australia, but still the income is higher than that income one would actually make from Southeast Asia or Africa or South America, for instance. And yeah, You actually are right. You're talking about the high cost of living and hidden expenses. Let's break that down. Rent, energy, insurance, mobile, taxes. It's not random trash. Many experts, including Black Americans in Europe, have actually warned about that. But then again, your net take home is actually often very different from your gross salary. Now, for example, a Black American in Lisbon shares the surprise when rent bills consumed more than 50% of the salary. Something very new and strange to them, because actually it is not the case back in the States, but that's exactly why you have so many social safety nets in Europe. You can study for free from primary to university up to doing actually your masters and PhDs. You can go to the hospital, you got free healthcare, and you got good roads, you got public transport that is actually very affordable, and all this money that they are taxing you is actually going to a good cause. It only depends on what you are willing to actually have, because when you are back home in the States, you guys are always complaining how getting social safety nets like free healthcare and free education, but you get to Europe where they have that, you want to complain about taxes. How do you expect the government to actually pay for that? And any African living in Africa, or any Asian living in Southeast Asia, or any American living in South America would actually gladly pay that in order for them to actually have a better life, because at the end of the day, the salaries are still higher. Maybe for those of you all coming from the States, it's a different story, but you can't tell that to somebody coming from Africa or the Caribbean, because the salary are going to always be higher, regardless of the fact that it has been taxed 50% or whatever percentage. It's always going to be higher than what that guy can actually make back home. So it is true that, yeah, Africans need to actually stay back home and build their countries and stop actually running away to European countries and Western countries. It is true that Caribbeans, Jamaicans, Barbadians, or all these people in South America, Southeast Asia, you need to stop going and running away to these Western countries and stay at home and build your own countries, because you're causing a brain drain. Even those students that are given scholarships to go study abroad, they actually never return back home to go and help their own countries. And this is most often because of corruption and bad leadership, not because opportunities are not there. Opportunities are there for people to actually invest in, but the opportunities are not viable because of bad leadership and because of corruption, because of insecurities. And these are the things that the African continent actually needs to go ahead and fix. And that's why you see rising leaders in Africa like Captain Ibrahim Traore doing that exactly for his country, trying to avoid the brain drain, trying to invest in his own country, keep security at maximum, and actually make sure that the people of Burkina are working for the good of their own country. And that's exactly what African countries have missed for years. And I do agree that they should actually stop running to Europe, but I also do recognize the fact that for these young people, they're desperate, man. They're desperate to make it, because that is exactly what life is in this modern era. You cannot survive without actually chasing the rat race. You cannot survive without actually any kind of income. And for those people who are in Europe to actually complain about this when they came to Africa uninvited and took resources and minerals, went ahead and built their own countries. Now they're looking down on the people that they took from and trying to tell them, go back to your countries. When you came to our house uninvited and took things to go build your house, now you're getting offended when I come to your house and want a piece or a share of what you took from me. Well, it is what it is. The world revolves around each other. We always gonna get and reap what we sow. But let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think about today's episode? I'm a presenter, Profess. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing, hit that like button. See you on the next episode.